Hello and welcome to the Ninqueso Exploring Japan channel, where I am on a journey to find out everything I can about Japan, the people, the culture, and today about 50, not 49, not 51, but 50 things I should know before I visit Japan in 2023. So that is a lot of information I'm about to take in here, and it's not a very long video. So I feel like I'm going to be bombarded with information, and I probably should have a pen and paper to make notes and things, but that is okay because I'm making a video so I can refer back whenever I want. So let's get comfy and find out just what 50 things I should know before I visit Japan in 2023.
There are a lot of things that you should know before traveling to Japan, but I'm sure that you already know that because you clicked on the videos. So here we go. 50 things you should know before traveling to Japan.
50 things. Let's go. Let's go.
Travel guide Beyond the Tourist Trail, which is out now on my website. Starting with number 1, you should always carry cash on you.
I knew this. I knew that most places are it's a very cash orientated place. And I've only got a debit card anyway. I don't have a credit card, so I don't stand any hope of being able to pay for anything with a card.
Because you're almost certain to come across a restaurant or a shop or something that doesn't accept credit cards. Number 2, wear your most comfortable walking shoes because you will be doing a lot of walking.
What happens if I don't want to walk? What happens if I've got people to carry me? I don't have anyone to carry me, unfortunately.
In Japan. Number 3 is that you should always keep your passport on you for legal purposes.
Yes, I've heard about this as well, that you need your passport on you in case you get stopped by the police. And also for when you go to the shops that have the tax-free shopping as well, you need your passport, if I am not mistaken, to get the tax-free benefit.
If you're ever stopped by the police in Japan for any reason, they're going to ask you either for your residence card or your passport. So just always have it on you just in case. Number 4, have your passport on you for tax purposes. If you're going to be buying...
Surely that's the same kind of thing. I'm thinking this is more like 49 things I need to know.
Anything expensive like electronics and things like that. If you present your passport, then you can get it tax-free. So yay for cheap shopping. Number 5.
Did she say sheep shopping or cheap shopping? I'm guessing she said cheap shopping, but it sounded like sheep shopping. Maybe she wants some tax-free sheep. I don't know.
Is the big one, masks. Can't wait to get into this topic. Technically, Japan has not now nor ever had a mask mandate per se. They've just had a lot of recommendations from the government. So that means that 99.9% of Japanese people are wearing masks at all times. Recently, Japan has actually downgraded the classification of the severity of COVID, so now it's on the same level as the flu. They are now recommending and encouraging people to take off their masks outside. My kind of general rule that I go by, if I am indoors on public transport in a crowded place, I put on a mask. If I'm outside or I'm walking by myself, I take it off, and nobody has been offended thus far, so I recommend that you do the same. Speaking of COVID, Japan still has entry procedures. So you either have to be fully vaccinated and boosted and have proof of that, or you need to have a negative PCR test taken within 72 hours of boarding your flight to go to Japan. You have to log all of this online via a website. I will leave a link for that down below. Make sure that you do that before getting to your flight because you will waste money otherwise. To get the most out of your trip, you should definitely get...
That was an important one to know.
Internet. You can just get it at the airport. The prices are pretty competitive.
I've heard about this as well.
Card or a Wi-Fi egg. A Wi-Fi egg is kind of like a portable router. So if you're traveling in a group of people, then that can be a really economical option. But keep in mind, it'll be a little bit slower and you will have to charge it every night. But the choice is up to you. This next one's for the Americans. You don't need to tip in Japan. I've heard some people say that it's rude to tip in Japan. I wouldn't say it's rude, but I would say it's unnecessary and just kind of confusing. The main 3 travel locations in Japan are Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. They're often referred to as the Golden Triangle, which means that there will be a lot of people there.
This is why I need to look into places other than those 3 that I might want to go to.
So I highly recommend going off the beaten track into lesser known places. There are very few trash cans around in the city and at train stations and stuff. So
that's okay, I'll have my bag on me.
And throw it out when you get back to the hotel. Number 11, there are so many staircases in Japan. So try to avoid changing hotels and traveling with a large suitcase as much as possible.
But what if you need to.
Number 12, there are 2 times of the year that you should not travel to
Golden
Japan.
Week.
They are Golden Week and Obon, and these are 2 kind of groups of public holidays in Japan. So that's when all of the Japanese companies go on holiday, which means that a lot of places will be shut and
a lot of people
will be busy. So
people
just
traveling.
look those dates up on the internet. They change every year.
There you go. They're the the dates for this year.
But avoid them at all costs. There is a particular scam that happens in Tokyo that generally targets foreign men. I'm not super familiar with it, but a bunch of
Is that because you're not a foreign man?
YouTubers have made videos about it already. Basically, the gist of it is that you get lured into a club, you talk to these pretty girls, and you buy drinks for you and for them. But what you don't realize is that the drinks are like hundreds of dollars, and you can walk away with a bill that's like $5,000. So, what?
I don't talk to strangers. I don't drink anyway. You know, they buy their own drinks if they want to drink.
Those videos mentioned, and yeah, avoid them if you can. This next one is less of a tip and more of a plug, but there is still spots available on my Travel With Me trip happening in August this year. So if you would like to travel to some...
It's September. That's happened. Sorry. I wouldn't want to have gone anyway.
Of the places actually listed in my travel guide, and you'd like to travel with me, go and check out the link in the description for that. The next category is for transport. Number 1, buy yourself a tap and go public transportation card. So this is either Pasmo, Suica, or Ikoka.
Yeah,
very
heard
easy,
about
very
these.
convenient. You can use it on buses and on trains, and you can also use it at the convenience store, which is very, very handy. When you're on the
Very
train
convenient
in Japan, please
even.
try to talk as quietly as you can, and don't eat anything because these would be considered rude. Taxis in Japan are quite
I won't be using taxis, don't worry.
expensive, so I avoid them as much as I can, especially to and from the airport, because it can be
They're expensive in every country, aren't they?
over $100 one way. While we're on the topic, Uber, Lyft, rideshare apps, those are not really a thing in Japan. Like you can download it and you can still use it, but it won't send you a ride sharing like random dude. It will just hail you a taxi. So it's convenient, but you're not going to save any money. Personally,
Fair
I
enough.
always just use Google Maps to plan my public transportation trips in Japan for
Just
trains
walk,
and
buses,
I've heard a
things
lot of
like
people
that.
say that like other apps are better or more accurate. I have never had any
She was
issues
very
with
swayed
Google
then.
Maps. It's very accurate, it's very reliable. It tells you like how much it is, the departure time, duration, what platform you should get on. Even tells you like what train carriage to get in for a fast.
The one thing I have heard about the maps is it, like when it's planning your journey, it just assumes you're going to find things straight away and know exactly where to go to get to the next, like if you're changing train. So if you're a tourist and you've not been there before, you might need to be a little bit more cautious with it because it'll be like, yeah, you just get this train, then you change to that train, but you might get lost a little bit on the way if you don't know where you're going.
To transfer at your next station. It's great. Big fan of Google Maps. Trains in Japan usually stop at around 12:30 or 1 a.m. So plan accordingly. The next category
fair
is
enough.
for driving. If you can drive in Japan, I
would like to look into driving in Japan. I've looked for videos, but I've never been able to find one on like how to go about driving in Japan or just general driving in Japan, like the rules. I know they drive on the left, which is good because we drive on the left. But if anyone knows any videos about driving in Japan, please let me know. Leave a link down in the description so I can check them out.
highly recommend it. It'll make things a lot easier for you. Not every country is eligible for an international driver's permit, so go check out the link in the description to see if your country is. If you are going to drive in Japan, I've heard people say that they're very nervous about the idea. Personally, I don't think you've got anything to worry about unless you plan on like driving through Shibuya Crossing and the back alleys of Higashi Osaka, which I did that one time in my Jeep. I found it to be quite normal. Japanese drivers tend to be quite safe and non-aggressive, so yeah, I haven't had any issues with it. Signs are often written in Japanese and in English, and yeah, the speed limits are quite lenient. The next category is language barriers. English proficiency is quite low in Japan, so I highly recommend learning some Japanese phrases.
I'm trying.
I have made a whole video about that, so go check it out, and it's also a whole section in my travel guide available now on my website.
She's plugging that a lot.
If you don't speak any Japanese at all and you're speaking to someone who doesn't speak much English, speak very slowly, as few words as possible, and very simple words. This sounds like common sense, but I swear some people just have no idea.
Yeah, just don't try and speak louder.
A lot of Japanese words are English loan words. So for example, toilet is toire in Japanese. So sometimes, if you don't know what the word is, you can like slow it down, elongate each syllable, and they might understand you. So for example,
Just might.
like, speaker is speaker. Whoa, fluent. Hotel, hoteru. Yeah, that's it. I can speak Japanese now.
There you go.
The Google Translate camera function will translate any written Japanese text for you, and also the Google Translate voice to text function can really speed up conversation.
次のカテゴリーは写真とドローンです。
Pretty good. If you're a photographer and you want to take a photo of a geisha or a maiko in Kyoto, please try to be as courteous as possible and know that in the Gion district, it's actually forbidden. This is because a lot of photographers will...
I've cut her off. I think she's about to say what I'm about to say. I heard that it was because they were getting swamped, weren't they, by people trying to take pictures. They just were like, that's it. No more pictures. You've ruined it for everyone.
Acting like paparazzi and chasing after them, and it kind of got in the way of their work, so they've banned it entirely. So just be as courteous as you can. In some temples and shrines and busy locations, tripods will be forbidden. If you want to fly a drone in Japan, it doesn't have to be as complicated as websites will make it seem. Just follow.
Isn't there just sort of I don't have a drone.
Don't fly in any cities at all because it's a no-fly zone. There's too many people there. I have made a whole entire video about it, so go check it out.
I'm good.
As of June 2022, unfortunately, you now have to register your drone online and have some kind of remote ID function set up. I have done this before. It's not super complicated and it's all in English, but it's just hassle time consuming. So unless you're like traveling out to the countryside a lot and you want to get a lot of drone footage, it might not really be worth it for you, but
nah, it's good. I'd have to buy a drone as well.
And also the 250 gram rule is not a thing in Japan. It is 100 grams, so don't even think about it. The next category is...
I have no idea what that meant. I guess it's the weight of the drone.
Food, and I think that you should try all of it because it's great. The food hygiene...
Yeah, but I don't like seafood.
Standards are very high in Japan, so it's very unlikely that you're going to get sick from it. It is also legal to drink on the streets. Convenience stores sell alcohol available
I don't
at
drink,
any
it's
time
fine.
of the day, so have fun. Speaking of drinks, tap water is safe to drink in Japan. I've heard a lot of people say that it's not, but those people would be lying because I've been drinking it for 8 years and I'm fine. No, seriously though, it is fine to drink it. You don't have to buy plastic water bottles all the time. If you're a vegan or vegetarian, unfortunately, it can be quite tricky, but not impossible to travel in Japan. I've made a whole video about the topic. I can't remember which side it's
fine.
Otherwise, I would just use the Happy Cow app to find like the closest restaurant, or you could buy my travel guide that has a whole section.
That like the 4th time now. Even she knows she's going a bit far with this.
For vegans and vegetarians. I'll stop. In the countryside, it's not uncommon to have restaurants and places just be closed on like a random day of the week for no reason. It's just like that sometimes.
They just decide,
I
want to be open.
2 to 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. So just make sure they have lunch on time to avoid disappointment. This next category is for the ladies. Japan's quite safe for solo travelers. I do it by myself all of the time, hence my YouTube channel. But in saying that, there have been a lot of very bad experiences that I've had with men here. Yeah, it's a really big topic and I don't know what the right answer is, and there's so much more I could go into about it, but for now I would just say that it's something that you should be aware of. I wouldn't trust when people say Japan is completely safe.
Oh, it's like anywhere, isn't it? It's like people are people at the end of the day, and you get good ones, you get bad ones. It's just got to have your wits about you. Be sensible.
Because a lot of women would disagree with that. In general, I would say I feel a lot safer walking down a street at nighttime in Japan than I would in Australia or America. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that there's a lot of people around in Japan, so a lot of witnesses. But yeah, you know, there's still a lot of things that I'm quite cautious of. Dressing modestly is quite important in Japan, but the standards are quite different from what is considered very normal in the West. So for example, you can wear shorts and skirts and things in Japan and that's fine, but if you're wearing like a tank top or like spaghetti straps or showing off your like décolletage, that is considered to be quite revealing in Japan. And I only realized this like 6 years into living there. But in saying that, you can still just dress at your own comfort level. It's just something you should be aware of. Speaking of modesty, another rule that I only found out like in the past couple of years is that apparently if you're wearing shorts that are like tight against your skin,
I won't be wearing those.
But if you're wearing shorts that kind of like come out a little bit, that's considered like risque or just risky in general because people
I don't
can
really
take a
do
photo
shorts. I
like
think
this
I'm
girl in
good.
shorts, which
I'm
has
good.
happened to me actually. Yeah, so there's that's a reason why if you buy an iPhone in Japan, then you can't turn off the camera shutter sound even if you put it on silent.
Hi, quick editor's note here. I should also probably add that I don't know this for a fact. This is just something that a Japanese man has told me in the past. But I don't know, I'm sure everyone has their own different opinions about it. It's a touchy topic. It just, pun. Basically, I'm not speaking for the entirety of all of Japan when I say
Okay,
this.
fair enough. Get on with it.
It's subjective.
So yeah, if you would like
Was that to do with the shorts? I don't know what the edit was there.
to curb any of these kind of unwanted advances, when you're catching the train in peak hour, they will have ladies only carriage.
I don't want to catch the train in peak hour if I can at all help it. It's too much. It's too much.
So that will make you feel a lot safer. Other things that I have personally done in the past that I think has worked because I haven't been chicaned to recently. I dress like more incognito. I don't wear as bright colors. I don't wear like spaghetti straps and stuff like that anymore. I have a less approachable face and I've also aged. So that that has worked out well for me.
I'm also
actually.
older now.
In all seriousness though, like I know I'm joking about it, but this is a very serious and big issue that a lot of women in Japan have had to deal with, myself included. So yeah, it's something that you should be aware of if you're traveling there. It's generally quite safe, but there are things that you should be aware of. The next category is experiences. If you want to stay at a Japanese style hotel or
I would
a ryokan
quite like
or
it, yeah.
a ryokan,
I would like to
be
get a
prepared
ryokan.
to pay per person per night. Not every place will do this, but just be aware of that when you're booking it. Please, please, please try going to an onsen.
I want to, but I don't want to have to get naked.
Amazing, and they're like my favorite experience ever, and it's not as weird as you would think it is.
Yes, it is.
To bathe naked with strangers.
Yes, it is.
It's liberating. It's
No, it's
body
not.
positive.
It's
I'm
not.
a big fan of it. Speaking
I don't
of
like
onsens,
it.
if you have a very large tattoo, unfortunately, you won't be allowed into most onsens.
I don't have any tattoos, so I'm good.
A tattoo-friendly onsen. But if you have like a small tattoo or just like a little baby one, you could probably cover that with a bandage or a band-aid, plaster, whatever you want to call it, sports tape. And no one will notice. Just don't tell them I told you to. Yes, you can wear kimono in Japan and nobody will think it's weird or inappropriate. I've made a whole video about that.
I don't think I'll
so
be
go
wearing a
check it out,
kimono.
whichever side it's on. The last category is culture. So I'm sure that you already know that generally Japan is quite a polite and respectful society.
Yes,
so,
I do.
Just be on good behavior, you know.
I'm
be
always on
courteous,
good behaviour.
respectful, all of that. I say this though, I was reminded of it because I'm in Australia at the moment and I saw a kid the other day just like full on like karate kick one of the pedestrian buttons that you normally press with your hand. He like kicked it with his foot and I was like, oh, wow, culture shock. And that brings me to my last point, which is if you like kind of accidentally break a rule or you do something culturally disrespectful or something like that by accident, I really wouldn't stress about it. Generally, Japanese
I'm not
people
going
will
to,
see
don't
foreigners, and if I can say particularly Caucasian foreigners, they'll kind of give them a free pass just in general and be like, well, they don't know the rules. Even if you have been living there for 8 years.
So I'm trying to learn them.
So honestly, I just have seen a lot of these videos around and they're like, it's so disrespectful to eat while walking. And it's like, I don't know, people draw these giant conclusions that I don't think are necessary. I think Japanese people are very polite and they are hospitable usually. I think you're gonna have a great time and I don't think that you should worry
they making
too much
mochi
about like accidentally doing the wrong thing. Just be polite and courteous and everything will be fine.
Cool.
And that's it.
That's pretty much how I live my life anyway. Just be polite and courteous and everything will be fine. It's not, but that's what I live and hope.
Holy cow.
Was that
what
it?
That
was a long
video.
list. It wasn't that long. It wasn't that long. I think those were the 50 tips. That was a video by Currently Hannah. If you did enjoy their video, I will leave a link to it down in the description and you can go over there and give them a like. But let me know what you think about those tips. How many of those would you agree with? Would you disagree? Is there any more that she missed out? Let me know down in the comments because I need to absorb these things because things are in the works. Hopefully, maybe, we'll see. But anyway, thank you, mate, for making it through to the end of this video. And if you did enjoy it, please could you go down and hit that like button, because apparently it does help out. And if you'd like to see more of my journey to find out everything I can about Japan, make sure you hit that subscribe. But until next time, just be nice to people. Bye.